Telling your story is an inclusive view of the people around us who share the same dreams and goals but face different challenges moving forward. We hope you come away from each episode inspired. Keep watching for this episode of Telling Your Story with Terrel and Nick, coming up next. Hello and welcome to Telling Your Story with Terrel and Nick. We're so glad you tuned in to watch. I'm Nick.
And I'm Terrel.
And we are your co-hosts. And we have an extraordinary woman dropping by the show today.
She is very awesome.
She is Patricia Brown, President and CEO of National Children's Center. Welcome to the show, Patricia.
Thank you. What a great introduction. I love it.
Thank you.
So, Patricia, we are so interested in so many things about NCC, but let's start with you. Where did your story begin?
So very interesting story, at least to me. I spent practically all of my career in corporate America. And I used to do nonprofit boards by nights, kind of like Superman goes into the booth and changes and becomes out a different person.
Double.
So I would do nonprofit work by night, and oftentimes we would do social and civic events as a part of our organization to give back to the community, but also to try to drive sales opportunities. I was in financial services at the time. And my heart was just in giving back to the community. And I was actually on NCC's board of directors. They recruited me because they were looking for someone that could help with strategy and marketing. And so I served on the board and started to learn more about the organization, and you really kind of fall in love. Mm-hmm. And so 2 years in, the CEO announces to the board that he's looking for a chief operating officer, and he asked if we know anyone that might be a good fit. So I pull out my phone and I start looking through my contacts. Who do I know that would be a great fit? And I started looking at the job description, and I'm looking at my contacts. I think it might be me.
It's Patricia Brown.
Yes. Right. So I talked to the board chair at the time, and she said, well, you'd have to step off the board to make sure that there's no conflict. There are no guarantees. You have to interview like everyone else. And it was a rather lengthy process. And at the end of a few months, I got the job. And as I started to learn more about NCC, I started to find out that NCC had already been a part of my life, and I didn't even realize it. We used to own an organization called Value Village, mm-hmm. and we still have a relationship with them today. Well, my mom, when I was in college, was doing volunteer work for Value Village, and I remember she used to talk about this place called Value Village, and she would talk to people about donating to the National Children's Center. So, okay, is that karma? What is that? Wow. So I became the COO and really got entrenched in programs and helped to build strategy for the organization and kind of changed the direction. And the CEO was retiring, and he said, the board's going to want you to take my position. And I really didn't want that position. I wanted to be the right hand and to support, but I did not want to be a CEO. But they always tell you never know what you don't know. And because we had started so much great work, I didn't want to see a new person come in and totally redirect the direction. So I said, okay, I'll do it. Best decision I ever could have made. It was not on my bucket list. It was not my career path to one day be a CEO, but it was clearly the plan because there have been so many connections to my life that I just feel like I've come full circle. When I was in college, I did an internship. I thought I wanted to major in special education, and I did the internship for Hospital for Sick Children, which is now HSC Pediatric. A couple of months ago, we announced a new partnership with NCC and HSC Pediatric.
Wow.
So again,
full circle.
Full
all
circle.
These connecting circles
So
in your life.
yeah, it was not a path that I planned, but it's absolutely the place that I needed to be.
And you trusted all of those signals along the way.
Yeah, I do believe that things happen for a reason, and when they connect that way, there's a reason that you're in that space.
So that is an amazing story. And I'd love to hear, Terrel shared with me a few years back, he connected with you and was a speaker at your
Yes.
Career Academy graduation. Can you talk a little bit about that? And Terrel, I want you to share, because I was just mesmerized when he told me the story and the way that you did it. And so can you talk a little bit about that, how you guys met?
So the
right.
Career Academy was a program that we had in our prior headquarters building, and we had an entire wing with 2 suites that looked just like Marriott hotel suites. As a matter of fact, Marriott built the suites out for us. So we had a king suite, we had a queen suite, and we trained individuals with disabilities between 18 years of age and 25, culinary skills, maintenance skills, front desk skills, housekeeping, and we did it based on hotel standards, industry standards. We had internships for those individuals to actually work in hotels. In our office now, we have a picture of a young lady that was working at the Willard Hotel, and we framed the first dollar bill that she earned working as a front desk person. And probably the most exciting piece about the Career Academy, aside from having Terrel speak at our graduation, was we were invited to the Statler Hotel, which is at Cornell University, very prestigious hospitality program. And so our students got on our little NCC van and drove to Ithaca, New York. And it was in November. We were worried to death that the weather might be horrible. But they spent a weekend with the students at Statler, and they had competitions. And our students came back with the trophy.
Wow.
So
wow, that is
super
so
excited.
impressive.
Yeah, so one of the things that they competed on in the hotel, when you make the bed, when you clean the room, there are specific things that are supposed to be in place. And so they would come in and you had to look at the room and say, oh, that's out of place, that shouldn't be there, this corner should be this way. And you had so many seconds to do it in. And our students were drilled from DC all the way to Ithaca. So they had plenty of time to study, but they came back with the trophy.
Wow,
so I was really
congratulations.
excited.
Wow, congratulations.
And then I met Terrel. Actually, I met his brother Joel, who told me about Terrel.
Meet me first. You met my brother.
Yeah,
Get it right.
And so Joel told me about Terrel, and I said, "Oh, we're having our Career Academy graduation. Do you think that he would speak?" Because he told us all about, winning the bronze medal in the sailing regatta. And it's like, oh, how cool is that? So Terrel actually was the keynote speaker for the graduation.
Yeah.
And I shamelessly, I should say, stole part of his speech in my remarks because they were great. I just threw away what I had and used what Terrel said.
Join the club, Patricia. Join the club.
And he was just such an inspiration. And then he stood up with us to give the certificates to each student. And he reached out and he put his hand on their shoulder. And he encouraged them to be strong and to stay strong.
Yeah,
and be true to who they are. And I just thought that was just so amazing. So,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. And also, I said that because I want them to do well at work, in the work life, instead of life itself. So
He encouraged
that's why I
them to
said
work
that.
hard. Yeah, it was. He's just an amazing guy.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
Terrell. Patricia, can you talk about, we were really interested, NCC really serves and supports individuals the whole lifespan. So can you talk a little bit about that?
So National Children's Center, and we're trying to evolve to NCC because we're not national, we don't support just children, and we're not just one center.
Right.
So 60 years ago, it started with children, and that was back when the institutions were closing and they were creating community-based programs that would be more nurturing and caring and empowering and compassionate. So NCC was birthed for children. And as the children grew, NCC added more programs to follow them through their lifespan. So we started out with just children, and as they got older, we started to do employment readiness and employment services and day habilitation so that they could come and learn life skills. And then we developed a residential program for adults. So today we started 8 weeks with our Early Learning and Early Intervention Center in Southeast Washington, and then we have residential group homes in Montgomery County, Prince George's County, and the District of Columbia, in addition to our day habilitation program. So 60 years later, we are no longer just children, we're everybody.
Whew, that's incredible.
Wow,
What
that's amazing.
I know, and I am so interested. You have so many unique programs. Can you talk a little bit about the gardening program that you have?
So the Early Learning and Early Intervention Center is this beautiful 75,000 square foot building on 4 acres of land in Southeast Washington, D.C. We today have 184 babies with and without, and I should not say with and without disabilities because I don't like that word, with differing abilities. And it's an inclusion program, so everyone is in the classroom together. We have clinical therapists on staff that actually come into the classroom in circle time and work with the babies. So the vision is when these children grow up and go to the big school, everybody's the same. I played with you, I know you, there's no difference.
Right.
And so 20 years from now, the next generation, we won't have issues of inclusion and integration because they've grown up that way. So Southeast DC, Ward 8, where we are, is a food desert. There is one grocery store for 85,000 people. And so we wanted to create healthy food options for the children, and the thought is that we help to change their eating habits early, and we teach them where food comes so that they will embrace vegetables, carrots and tomatoes and green beans and all of those things. So we actually have a garden curriculum, and they've helped to plant many of the beds. So we have 65 raised garden beds of everything that you can imagine. And this year we introduced bees. So the plan is to actually produce locally grown honey, which is good for your immune system.
Right.
It's good if you have allergies. So our challenge with the bees is we can't keep the queen bee alive.
Oh,
Oh no.
So there's a
What can
very
we do?
interesting dynamic. So you have the queen bee and the worker bees, and the worker bees have to embrace the queen bee. And the queen bee is how you produce honey. So the first queen bee we got, they killed the queen bee.
we will be,
Oh
so
wow.
that, we're gonna have to come back to that. We will be right back talking to Patricia Brown, and we're gonna let you know what happened to that bee
Right.
in just a moment, so don't go away after these messages.
Coming here and having a group like this where she just fits in perfectly, where we're accepted, we belong, we're the community.
It's just a chance for us to really coach these kids and challenge them, but at the same time motivate them, support them, and encourage them to be better soccer players.
My neighbor is actually one of the athletes who participates in this, and I was babysitting him and I was playing soccer with him, and his dad told me about this program and I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
Watching this inspirational group of athletes smile and have fun and get to shine as individuals has just been wonderful. As a parent of one of the buddies, it's been a real pleasure to come out here and see this develop.
It's really changed her life. I mean, she's very happy, you know, and she feels like she's a part of the team and you know, very special.
And every single time I come, the athletes put a smile on my face.
Just being a coach, it's a blessing. You know what I mean? To help these kids and to be a part of their life.
The way you see the players interact with each other, interact with us, like, you know, this is like making a big difference in their life, and it's making a big difference in my life too.
Welcome back. Terrel and I are having a fabulous conversation with President and CEO of NCC.org. And we have to get back to the bees. So very quickly, Patricia, those bees clearly have not gone through the amazing programming at NCC because they did not implement your extraordinary inclusion program.
Did the bees find new queen yet?
So we got a new queen 2 weeks ago, and sadly on Friday she too was killed. So we're going to get an entire new box of bees.
All right.
They're all familiar colonies so that we'll have honey in the fall. And so the other neat thing that we want to do with the farm is the adults in our program, we want to bring them in and introduce them to farming because there's something very therapeutic about working in the soil. Mm-hmm. So we do farm stands each week, and so we're going to engage them to help work the farm stands, and if they want to harvest the vegetables, if they want to help plant new vegetables, and certainly we want them to eat the vegetables instead of going to Wegmans and Giant and those places. So really, really excited about where that's going to lead. We have our day habilitation program in Silver Spring, and we're doing life skills and travel training, and we're really working to fully integrate those individuals into the community. So we're a community-based organization, and years ago when they started community-based organizations, they moved the organization to the community, but the individuals did not necessarily integrate into the community. So we are working to change that. And so we are looking for Zumba classes, not Zumba classes for people with disabilities, but Zumba classes, and there are art programs that people participate in. Art Stream, which is a drama and arts program that our people absolutely love. So we're just really, really tickled about that. And then our residential homes have staff that work in those homes that are like family for the individuals that we support. So we're just, it just could not be a better place for me to be.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
Patricia, you can put Art Stream and Zumba together if you want. Mix it all
That's
up.
a great idea.
I like that. That's good. That's really good.
I like that. I'll have to mention that.
Yeah, Patricia, you should go for that.
Yeah, I will mention that. I might even try to get in there myself and do a few steps.
All right, that sounds good. Good, healthy.
Yeah.
Patricia, can you talk about, I know that your programs all come from these core values and inclusion, compassion, empowerment. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about how you thread those three through these programs?
So every program that we do is inclusion. Nothing is segregated. So the babies learn together in the classroom together in the same space. The nonverbal babies learn to sign, so the verbal babies learn how to sign. In the adult programs, the same thing. We do things together. We enjoy things together. It's all about being a part of the community. And so today we continuously look for places and opportunities in the community that the people that we support can go to each day and enjoy, as opposed to coming to a building and spending the day. It's being actively engaged in the community and having fun, you know?
Yeah.
Going
Yeah.
shopping, going
We
on
love fun.
vacation.
Yeah, we do. We love
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. I was
Love
with
is all
one of the ladies that we worked with yesterday. Was her 60th birthday. And she is probably on, well, I don't know what the weather, if that changed, but she was supposed to go on a dinner cruise tonight to celebrate her birthday.
Ooh.
Oh,
And
wow.
I wanted to go.
That's good.
Yeah. So, you know, inclusion is just critical. So people think about inclusion and they think about gender and race and age, but it's also about people with differing abilities as well. And so we really want people to fully understand that. So that's inclusion. In order to do this work, you have to have compassion. And so every person that works for NCC, when I get a chance to go and be a part of the program, you see the compassion. I mean, they don't work in this business to be rich, to make money. It's to make a difference in people's lives. And the love, it just exudes from their very being. And lastly, it's important that you empower people to be self-advocates. And so that's why those 3 words were so important to us, and that's why they're our core values, because it's important that we have inclusion, that we're compassionate, and that we empower. So we don't serve anybody, we help them to do what it is that they want to do and live their best life. And if I were to tell the truth, I think that I am more blessed by being in their presence than the other way around.
I totally hear that. I totally understand that. Can you talk a little bit about what can the community do to support NCC?
Well, funding is always an issue
nonprofit,
in the nonprofit space. And when I came into the organization, and we still are to some extent today, very heavily relying upon the government funds. And you hear in the news all the time battles about Medicaid funding and all of those things. And we don't want to change what we do. So we are working diligently to create a funding arm that includes private donations and fundraising that we haven't done in the past, so that we can bridge the gap between what we get reimbursed through government funds and the money needed to do quality programs. So July 25th, can I talk about that?
Sure.
So
Yeah,
July
you can.
25th, we're going to have our first charity golf tournament. And we're really, really excited about that. So it will be an opportunity for people to come out and have a good time and support a great mission at the same time. So we are trying to tell the story, and we want people to support us financially and also as volunteers. There are volunteer opportunities to work with our children, to work with many of the programs, the arts programs, just, you know, any number of things. Just call us up and tell us what your skill set is, and we will find a place to put you, is my thought.
All right, Patricia. About volunteer, what do you do when you look at the people before you volunteer?
Oh yes,
volunteer?
everyone must have a background check.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought so.
Yeah, and
That's a great question, Charles.
And there's a great deal of training that goes into working with individuals, depending on what it is that you want to volunteer to do. So yeah, it's not one of those places that you can just walk in off the street and volunteer.
Right.
Now, if you want to work in the farm, you can,
Okay.
because that's just about fitness and, you know, lifting and digging and planting and all of that. So
Right.
that's okay. But to actually interact with the families and the people that we support, you can't just, we need to know who you are.
Yeah.
Make
No,
sure you're a
that's
good person.
I thought you had to do that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes.
Can you share about the website so that our audience who will be listening today, and I know will be very inspired to learn more about NCC, can you let them know where can they go to get that information?
They can go to nccinc.org.
Okay, excellent.
Yep.
Well, that is all the time we have on Telling Your Story with Terrell and Nick. Thanks for joining us. And thank you to President and CEO of NCC. You are extraordinary.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been my pleasure.
You're doing
Yes, you're
incredible
welcome.
work. Yeah, it's really inspiring to me, and I know to Terrell, all
Yeah.
of the work that you are doing and leading this organization to their next levels. Where do you see it in 60 years, real quick? Where do you see NCC?
In 60 years, we will leverage technology to enable people to be even more independent than they are today. And we will be leading the way and telling the story and advocacy so that the community is aware and embraces everyone with differing disabilities, differing abilities, I should say. So I like to tell people we want to kick the dis out of disabilities.
All right.
All right, that sounds great.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
sounds
goal.
great.
That
That's the
sounds
goal.
great.
So thank you, and to our audience, remember, wherever you are in your life,
Keep moving forward.
thanks everybody. See you next time.
All right, bye-bye.